Hi, I'm Alex Archbold, and I've been buying and selling antiques since I was 9 years old. From basements to scrapyards, I'll look just about anywhere I can to find lost antiques and collectibles. And sometimes I'll go big and buy everything. With my wife and kids, we run an antique shop in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, filled with some of the most unique items we can find. I never know what's going to happen or who I'm going to meet. This is our life, this is our adventure, and this is Curiosity Inc.
From home, honey.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Well, you'll notice that I'm actually at my house. Why am I here? Well, I don't have room at the store to offload the stuff that I'm offloading. I went out to a house today, a former gallery owner's house, and bought a whole bunch of pictures and paintings in bulk. And it's one of those situations, again, where I have no idea what I bought. The price seemed to be right. And the age is also what I think is a good age. A lot of this stuff dates back to the 1960s and early 70s, which is like a prime time for modern art and prints and etc. So we're gonna go through and see what we got. I've got my helper Steven with me today.
Hello.
It seems appropriate to have an artist looking at art stuff. So we're gonna offload the car and see what we got. Okay, this is what Dad was up to today. Underneath it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but there are portfolios full of unframed pictures and prints. But we got to get that out. I bought a whole pile of these before. These were made in the late 60s or early 70s. I'm trying to figure out who the artist was on them. We're thinking possibly a fellow named Bruce Smith, but I don't see any signatures on it. So have to research that. But I was happy because I bought the other half of this chess set, this sort of brutalist, chess set. I bought the last half of it last year when I got the Picasso vase. Now I have the rest of it. So it completes it, which is great. Let's start unpacking some things and see what's in here. So first item up is a photograph. I'm just going to spin it this way. This is a mountain scene, and you can see Vermilion Lakes and Mount Rundle. Artists on location, Banff School of Fine Arts, Hamley, Edmonton. So it's an artist-made print. Now, since this is original picture, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research to see exactly who's on there. But look, they've got their artwork going on. This would date from the 50s. We'll have to figure out exactly who everybody is in this photograph. But, you see those famous Group of 7 paintings. This is what they would do. They would go and they'd sit and they'd take in the scenery and go sit right there and do their sketches and drawing and plan things out. So this could be kind of an important picture. Not entirely sure yet, but when you see something like this, you go, okay, well, artist on location, Banff School of Fine Arts. There's got to be some interesting members at that time. In fact, I'm sure I can look up the Banff School of Fine Arts and see who the leading members were. Either way, it was something worth picking up. Next up, this is a Vasarely. I believe it's a serigraph from the Art Mart Limited downtown gallery. This would date to probably the 1960s or early 70s. Actually, let's have a look at some of the paperwork or some of the books that go with it. 1973. This might be, these are other sort of printed images and books. Let's see. Folklore, planetary folklore. So an original Vasarely, kind of a neat looking piece. Got that mid-century kind of, funky sort of vibe. And it's almost pixelated, like it plays tricks on your eyes when you look at it. Okay. We'll get the rest of it out here too and have a look. Let's see. Another photograph. Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. And of course it's titled Huskies. This looks like a 1950s artist signed photographs. Alexandra Falls. Oh, photo. Gerhardt? Yeah, it looks like Gerhardt. I'll have to do a little bit of looking, and I'll admit right off the bat that I don't know what all these artists are or what they're famous for, but I do know that when you see an original signed photograph, that's a good sign. And this frame, the way that this is framed, that's typical of what they would have done in the 1950s and 60s. So I can tell that there's some age to it. You see how thin that is? They definitely kind of skimped on materials back in the day, but that would be typical for what they would do for a photo. Nowadays, you'd have something a little bit more elaborate, I guess. But it does the trick, and it's nice that it's got the original frame. Beautiful piece, and it's large too. It's 10 by 17 or something. Okay, we'll set these off to the side and then keep digging. Now this piece I do recognize. This is by Richard Lacroix. He's a Canadian artist. His work is actually in the National Gallery of Canada. I believe the Museum of Modern Art has his pieces. This is a stamped, an embossed stamped, signed and hand numbered piece from 1966. Variante. Anyway, there we go. That's at least one that I do recognize and is a listed artist. Born in 1939. He's a prolific artist. He's done quite a bit of work, but it's nice to find an early piece like this. And there was only 100 of them made. This one's in the first 50 or so. It's number 43. And 1966. That whole pop art movement, when Andy Warhol was around doing stuff, and Lichtenstein, and people were experimenting, and so this is kind of a cool piece. Would look great in a mid-century modern sort of home, and nice to have an original silkscreen like that. It's another nice serigraph. Limited to only 26 of them. It's called Prairie Forms No. 2. It's by Kenneth Samuelson, dates to 1970. You can see it's meant to look like cattails, I think we've got going on there, and maybe some prairie fields and harvest scenes. Kind of an interesting looking serigraph. Of course, these have been sitting around forever, so they're covered in dust, but luckily that didn't affect the print on the other side because they're in this glass. A piece like that, recent auction sales for his work could be in the $400 to $500 range. So that's a good score, and I think it would do it justice to have a much nicer frame than that, but that said, it's still a pretty cool piece. This is not a serigraph, it's an original. It looks like it's oil pastel, very simplified landscape. The glass is broken. I cannot see a signature on it. It might be unsigned, I don't know. And it is crazy, is as much as this is a very simple sort of landscape, if it's done by the right person, it could be worth some good money. I'm gonna have to try and get the glass out, so I've got my glove here. We'll see if we can dismantle this frame and get the piece out without damaging anything, and see who the artist of it is. Okay, this landscape study is in fact signed right there. Looks like it's dated 1978. So it turns out to be a known artist. It could be something. I mean, it is an original. Even sketches from Degas or Renoir are worth a fortune. This isn't one of those, but it is an original. And so we'll do a little research and see if we can discover who that artist is and whether this will hold some value. Whatever is in here has been in here for a while. I recognize that sort of tape. My parents used to use that kind of tape like back in the 70s, where it turns into these little strands. I don't even think they sell that type of tape, or if they do, nobody uses it anymore. Let's crack it open and see what's in there. All right, Stephen, would you mind seeing if you could take this one out for me? All right. It's probably in sections. Let's pull it out. It says wall relief. Oh, okay, there's a few things in here. 1972, Sister Morphine, Artist Proof. 1972. And then we have these other pieces, which, hey, art's subjective. Somebody named Alan Reynolds made that, called it wall relief, and I think there's a second one in here too. I think I have no idea if Mr. Reynolds went on to do much else, but I think from a saleability perspective, as creepy as that is, the artist proof is probably very psychedelic, probably something that would sell fairly easily. We'll keep these to the side and we'll keep digging. Okay, the next thing I got was this portfolio. I didn't even look through it, hoping that there's going to be some kind of treasure inside of here. You'd think that you would keep the good stuff in the portfolio, right? I don't know. Let's take it out and see what's in here. Okay, let's see what was in the portfolio. It is, okay, Spanish artist. Sadly, actually, he passed away this year from COVID. His stuff, he was one of the founding members of the Spanish avant-garde movement back in the day. Born in the 20s, a lot of his work in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They have his work at the Guggenheim. Now, I don't know if there's gonna be an original in here or if it's just a book about him or if there's prints, but let's see. Oh no, hang on. It looks like we have some original serigraphs or silk screens. Very cool. Yeah, numbered and signed. So that's one right there. You know, when the work is in the Guggenheim, it's quality stuff. In here, I've got a portfolio full of it. Look at this, there's another one. And I don't care whether you're into this type of art or not. It doesn't matter, somebody is, and that somebody is gonna be an art collector who will probably, you know, hopefully pay handsomely for one of these pieces. I don't know how many I have in here. There's at least 2, including some spiders. Dead spiders. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. There's at least 6. I have no idea what his works normally sell for, but an original piece like this, you know, somebody's going to think that's really cool. I mean, he's definitely a known and highly regarded abstract artist, and I think I might have done well here. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. You can see they're all, it's kind of like a series. I wonder what year these are from. I don't see a date on the book anywhere, but judging from the rest of this stuff, it's all kind of 60s and 70s. So probably somewhere in the early 70s. That's a good score. Actually, look, this piece of paper got water damage, but it didn't affect the art. It's still good underneath all the tissue and everything. Good thing it was double wrapped in cardboard. The art is fine, but look how close it was to being destroyed. Wow. I feel like I got there just in the nick of time. Here is surprise bag number 3. Looks like there might have been a bit of moisture on this stuff at some point. Let's hope that the art didn't get ruined, or that there's art in here at all, not just paper. Oh, there we go. 1985 tomato plant. Very simplified drawing of a tomato plant. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, there's a cat. Looks like a watercolor. Study number 1, Autumn Triptych, Johnson, 1989. Well, somebody who's a cat lover would probably buy that just as it is. It's nice, it's original piece too. So, let's see, that looks like a sort of a surrealistic 1961. Knowlton, perhaps? Boy, this is where I have to get my education in some of this art. Some I recognize, some I've come across before, some is completely fresh and new to me. You know, I don't know whether, looking at this right now, whether that's you know, a masterpiece or just some kid who drew like some onions being chopped. And I'm sorry to the artist if it, you know, I know that there's a certain type of art that demands that it be very simplified and simple, and I know some of these are just studies, but I'm hoping to find one that's going to have some real eye appeal. That looks like a well-rooted potato. Yep, big sprouting potato. That's exactly what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to dig these out and I'll show you guys if there's anything super exciting in here. This piece was in there. It's kind of neat because it looks like, of course, the Empire State Building, but it looks almost like it's been turned into a totem pole of sorts. And there's a faint sketch and outline of the other work that's on there. It's like a flock sort of felt with a swirly kind of paper behind it. And in with it was this brochure on the Radio City Apartments in New York. So I wonder if whoever owned this was in New York at some time. Let's see if there's anything on the back. And there we go. Yeah, Manhattan, 3 of 30, 1989. It is signed. So they made 30 of these. Manhattan 1, perhaps. And there's a little tree stamp on the bottom. Curious piece. It was all wrapped up really nicely. Somebody who lives in New York might think that's pretty cool. That'll go in the check out later pile. Well, this is a fun piece. This is a Montreal artist, Jacques Hurtubise. I can never pronounce his last name. I hope that I did him justice, but Jacques Hurtubise, I believe, dated 1969. He would have been about 30 years old at the time when he did this. He's very famous for these grid-like patterns. Now, although this is a silk screen, entitled Josette, and he's done 75 of them. This is 55 of 75. His acrylics, his paintings are worth $50,000 to $60,000 or more. I don't know what this would be worth. I mean, it is of the period. It's signed by him. It's still going to be a good piece, but that's modern art for you, folks. This grid-like pattern is really what he's known for. And apparently he had a very fiery disposition and a very strong work ethic. It was very much admired for it. This will go in the Alex Keeper pile. And I think we're finding a few gems mixed in here. I'm actually getting pretty excited. Although at first glance I'm not familiar with who the artist is. Looks like it's dated 1971. It's a bright, beautiful, colorful piece. It looks like reminiscent of birds. I don't know if it's supposed to be people talking, but colorful. Sad thing is, though, improper storage has caused some damage. Now, you could frame it and frame that section out, but the challenge is the damage has been done. Really neat piece, so I'll have to investigate who did this. And it appears to be an original. This it's not numbered, but it is signed, so this could be a one-off. There's a few in here that are kind of like this. I am going to check this over because I think that's a nice, bright, colorful piece that somebody would still want if I frame it properly and kind of do away with the damage that's been done there, or see if I can get somebody to fix it. Another Jacques Hurtubise piece. This time, this is quite large. It's about 2 feet by 3.5 feet, 1970. And this time, it's one of only 25, so number 19 of 25. It almost reminds me of like Kiss makeup or something. I know it's meant to be more than that, but it's really, really cool. Like those contrasting colors. A couple more silk screens. This looks like Daniel Kansky, 1971. And that of a church, kind of in green pixels. What's interesting though, look, Hawkins Church, number 25 of 25. This is the last one. If you're gonna get a silk screen, it's good to get either the first or the last. Those are typically a little bit more collectible. This artist, Noreen Rich, it looks like. Not familiar with it, but that looks like the Cobra art group sort of style that came around back in the 70s. You know, very sort of forward, very bold colors. I don't know if they were part of that group or not, but it sure looks like it. When you're looking at prints or vintage artwork, it's nice to see if the back is labeled. This one is Gene Sariano. You can see all the different shows that they put on throughout the 70s, and it goes up to 1974 and stops. So my guess is that this piece is going to be from right around that time. Look at the sort of little white footprints going up. Reminiscent, reminds me of like maybe Santa went there, or somebody went to go warm themselves by the fire. Kind of an interesting piece though. There's just a night sky, a fireplace mantle. So they definitely exhibited at a lot of galleries, and it is signed. This is entitled Landscape. It's by an artist named Richard Folger. And what's neat about him is that he signed it with his, I think it's his thumbprint. You know, I could probably get into his iPhone if he's still around with that thumbprint. But yeah, nice dark black and white sort of contrasting colors, landscape with cubist sort of stuff going on. I don't know, it's a neat piece. That's the worst description of art ever. It's on a really thick sort of plastic feeling board, and it's silk screened, but super cool. And it's nice, like I said, it's got the artist signature and everything on the back there. And so it's limited to 25 pieces too, so low run. This is a shame with this piece here. This is by an artist named Roy Kenzie Kyoka. He was a second generation Japanese Canadian. His family moved here after Pearl Harbor, and dated 1971. It's a silk screen. If it had been in really good condition, probably worth about $800. In this shape, practically worthless. That's what poor storage does. You get water on things. This suffered the brunt of it. I don't know if I'll be able to do anything with it. It's a real shame because it's kind of a cool piece. I'm back at the shop after offloading all those pictures. Now, right now, there isn't really a place for it. As you can see, my walls are pretty full of things that aren't pictures, but I didn't really buy them for this building. I bought a lot of that artwork thinking that I could use some of it at the next space, in the next building. So for now, we'll figure out which ones are the best. We'll get them framed. We'll make them look fantastic. And before you know it, once they're all framed up, you have a really cool piece of art. So that's the plan. In the meantime, though, while I was here at work and while I was finishing my day, I had a couple surprises. One, you know how you hear you never know what's going to walk in the door? This walked in. It's a 1957 Philco Predicta, and it's the console model. It's like the coolest looking TV you ever did see. Just walks right in the door. These things were space age, and back in the 50s, if you had a TV like this in your house, people probably thought that you were rolling in dough because they were very expensive. Even today, they're quite collectible. The neat thing about it is swivels. It's very slim. You know, for that time, this was a very slim TV. Like I said, this is like the flat screen TV of its day. Very stylish, very 1950s. If you're a set designer working on a movie, or somebody who's trying to have that kind of decor in your house that has to fit a certain 50s vibe, a TV like that is going to be absolutely perfect. Picked it up for a great deal, and the nice thing is, it still works. So I guess I'll be adding finding rabbit ears for this TV into the next bit of stuff I have to do. But for now, guys, that's it. It's just about closing time. I'm waiting for somebody to come and pick up a jukebox, which I've got sitting outside. It's going off to a new home. They should be here any minute. After we get this guy loaded up, it's off to the house. So here it is, getting loaded up in the back, and looks like you found a few other things while you're here too.
Oh yeah, tons of good stuff.
Yeah, hot rod magazines, and
yeah,
I'm liking the ZZ Top shirt you're rocking there.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna get her fixed up, you figure?
Oh yeah, for sure. Gonna start on it this summer anyways.
When you got time between working on cars and hot rods and all the other stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying that you paint and restore cars up in the Grand Prairie area, right?
Dawson Creek.
So
yeah.
Dawson Creek. So what's the name of your shop?
It's Viner's Hot Rods and Costumes.
Okay, so if somebody's watching and they're in that area, they can look you up?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I hope you have fun with that jukebox. And the funny thing was, as we're chatting here, it turns out that you used to work for my uncle. When he had a Husky gas station. That was way back when.
Yeah, it's probably 21, 22 years ago now.
Yeah, and time has flown by.
Yeah.
Well, small world that's going to somebody who used to work with my uncle, but I'm so glad it's like it's staying in the family.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess hopefully we'll see you on the way back through.
For sure.
Also, the snow is starting to melt off in the empty lot next door, which means we're gonna be getting closer to construction here when we start putting up our new building. So stay tuned for more episodes, guys. Always lots going on. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.